Welcome back to another episode of Tempelores Talks. We are at number 21 and we have a whole festival to talk about.
Yes.
Elvira went to Helldorado as we announced in the previous episode, and I'm super curious how all of that went.
Yeah, well, you should have been there, I think. But can't do everything. But I missed you in the photo pit. I missed you outside of the photo pit. But well, I have to wait for another time.
If only I could be everywhere.
You were super busy with. You were super busy, but I missed you. But yeah, I went to Helldorado. For me, it was the first time. I don't know. Have you ever been there?
Not that I can remember. I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Because the festival, I think it's around the 20th birthday or something next year. I think I saw that, or was it? I'm not sure. Somewhere around many editions. But this was my first. It's in the Netherlands. It's an indoor festival. It's in the south of the Netherlands in Eindhoven. And it showed, I think, that it was not the first edition. It was very well organized. I think the flow to get inside for visitors was very nice arranged. There was a special crew entrance, which I could enter as well with my photography. And what I liked is that it wasn't too crowded with the food stalls. There weren't like a crazy amount of food stalls, but it was never too crowded.
Okay.
You know, you had to wait a little bit, but not like 40 minutes for a portion of fries.
That's the thing. You know, you gotta have your fries.
So, of course. Well, if you don't eat meat, sometimes you just have to do the fries. But I think I went exactly, maybe around Dutch dinner time, you know, around, I think between 5 and 6 o'clock. And I think I had to wait, there were 3 people in front of me, which was crazy for a festival, which I liked. I think it was not sold out. Maybe that was the reason, but it was also not empty at all. There were 3 stages and 2 sort of main stage, one big main stage and one larger stage, and they swapped places. And I think it in the venue where the band was playing, it was full, so it didn't look empty, which was really, really nice. I think it was in that way it was good organized and enjoyable, because you could switch easily from one side to the other side. The bar was easily approachable. There were enough bars as well.
That's good.
So I think, and I have to say this. I heard a few people talking about the lineup. That there were there was like one of those big names were missing, and I was. It's kind of funny because I was standing still and followed the discussion. I think there were a group of 6 people. But I think when you look at the lineup, there's not a big headliner, but I think it has a nice flow of music in the program, which sort of ties up all the bands together, and you have just one big enjoyable thing. There were a few little, more like a little bit odd ones, like Napalm Death, when you check the whole rest. But I have to say that tied more up with, I think From the Crypt is a local band. They play death metal, and then it kind of also tied more up with a rock and roll type of thing from Ter Ziele and Peter Pan Speed Rock. So I think it kind of sort of all came together for me as a visitor. So let's talk a little bit about the bands that played there. We did voting on the website, on
Yeah.
our Instagram, and people told me I had to go see Ter Ziele. And when I stood there in front of the photo pit, I saw why. It has the vocal guy from Peter Pan Speed Rock, is also the singer from Ter Ziele. So it's Peter Pan Speed Rock. I think they're like tied in with the festival. I think they play every edition, and they're already announced for next year. Sort of their home gig, yearly.
Are
home
they
gig.
maybe like part of it or something?
I think so. So Ter Ziele was very crowded, very enjoyable as well. It's like there's just like good rock and roll, a little bit of gritty rock and roll, which was enjoyable. I catched also Cobra the Impaler. We've seen them before.
Sorry.
At festivals.
I kind of fall asleep when I see that band. Ugh.
Yeah, but I have to say, this time they were the sound was a little bit different. They sounded grittier. They sounded a little bit more with balls. It came across a lot better. I don't know, his vocals, his screams were a little bit louder maybe in the mix, and it came across a lot better. At least for me in the photo pit, I quite enjoyed it. And then there was, I think they're Swedish, the Baboon Show. Now that is, I don't know how you say it, but energy on steroids. The front lady, she just runs over that stage from left to right and make it, she is like making it a show. It's in the name, Baboon Show. And I think you get a baboon in your face. And the music is really catchy, really up-tempo. I think it's a really good festival band. So I'm curious if they were going to play any summer festivals. I think they will do great. Then it got a little bit more slow down after the craziness. We had Pallbearer, the American band. This was the most doomiest band on the festival, which was really nice to sort of breathe a little bit, and made us ready for the Dutch Doel, or Dol, if you pronounce this in a Rotterdamse accent. Dol, they were absolutely amazing.
They're on the go. I mean, they're internationally growing so much. I really like that for them.
Yes, and I think there were 3 bands that I enjoyed the most, and it's hard to choose my favorite, but they're definitely in the top to enjoy this day. Their show was amazing. They are so skilled. You can see that. They set the atmosphere. Everything fits, like a lot of smoke, a lot of fog, a lot of the same color, like 1 or 2 colors, not 16 colors in one song, which I prefer. What fits the music as well. And I think Pallbearer, with the doomiest atmosphere, created the right, feeling to go see Dol. So yeah, definitely a highlight. Definitely, if they come across your path in this club season, go check them out. They deserve that. Then we had Napalm Death.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun because, well, they're sort of well, maybe not the founders of metalcore, but they've been around for so many years. And one of the things is that, as a photographer in a photo pit, you must always have 3 songs to photograph. And we were like 2 minutes in the photo pit, and one friend of ours I was joking, like, we have to leave now. And he said, why? I said, well, this is the first song.
Yeah, that's...
Because their songs are always like 2 minutes or something,
indeed.
and then you play the next song. But they had a lot of fun on stage.
Yeah, they have a really interesting sense of humor, also, right? So British.
Yes. And the singer is a little bit weird to watch. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
like he has some
straightforward
yeah.
metalcore. You know, it's what they've been doing all along, and it's still the same. And I kind of enjoy that about them.
Did they have a large crowd?
Yeah.
Because I remember they were like headlining in the Achterhoeks Metal Fest, was it last year, I think? And there were not too many people showing up for them, and I was a bit shocked since their reputation and everything. So I was wondering how they would do in this festival.
Well, maybe it's because they still do exactly the same. So if you've seen them a couple of times, you've seen them, true. You know. But I think, like I said, the whole lineup was sort of tying together. So I think people just went to see the band and had a good time, and it wasn't empty in front of the stage. Yeah. And then we had John Coffey, one of the Dutch larger band. It's not my type of music. It's a little bit more punkish. They also fly around the stage. But with what a punk rock band needs to have, and they're not punk rock, but they're sort of have punkish flavor over it. They also addressed a little bit of political things, and they shouted out a little bit of political things, and I think that does kind of fit in their style.
I have some funny anecdotes for John Coffey. Like years before they returned from hiatus at some point, but this goes back to way before that. I remember that they were playing in Rotterdam at a show in, I think, was it Scumbash Festival maybe? So I was like in a photo pit, pretty substantial pit for a festival like that, indoors. And I was like standing there, like waiting for them to come up on the stage, and the singer runs to the middle from the, like in the center of the stage, all the way up to the front. And right in where I was standing, and slides off right in front of me. He fell. I was like, oh, he fell for me. So that was like, the photographers around me started laughing so hard because I said that like that. Of course, we helped him up. He wasn't too hurt. It was kind of funny. But at some point, like, I remember also fans were like, then decorating everything, and I remember I was sitting down like you have in the photo pit, like right before they were starting. You can use the place where they stand up to just take a quick seat. Not comfortable, but sometimes you're just a little bit tired of standing around all the time. And then I remember these John Coffey fans, they had like confetti balloons or whatever, and they start sprinkling them on me. So they were like decorating me, but think about the Dutch word for that. So I was like, oh, I'm getting decorated here.
He fell for you.
So I always remember that when I hear the name John Coffey, because it was such an unusual thing to happen at a festival like that. And of course, I think John Coffey got viral after they catched a beer being thrown at them at the Pinkpop Festival. I think it was Pinkpop, but yeah. They were sitting on someone's shoulders near the audience, or inside the audience, and somebody was throwing a beer. He caught it and started drinking from it right away.
Yes. I remember that.
That was them.
Fun.
So I think it's cool that they're going around again and seeing them name pop up everywhere. They're good fun.
Yeah, they're a good festival band. It's not my thing to go see in a venue, but definitely on a festival they bring
good energy.
Energy. Yeah. And then we had Graveyard, the Swedish band. They play more bluesy rock, southern rock influenced. which I really like. It was also very crowded in front of the stage. Together with Dol, they were one of the favorite bands of this day. They played a great set. I think they got the audience quite involved as well. I just loved it.
I think they're being announced for Sonic Whip.
Yes, I saw
pretty
that.
Cool.
Put it in my calendar.
I knew.
Quite enjoyed them. Definitely in my top from this festival. And it's not that they're touring together with Pallbearer and Baroness. They were playing later that day. And I think it's a nice combination of the three bands.
Yeah, definitely.
Music-wise. Yeah. Then we had to dodge Peter Pan Speed Rock.
Yeah, they're no name.
Yeah, straightforward metal, rock and roll. The grittier rock and roll, straightforward, coming to you. They're always blazing over the stage with their sound. They were as expected. They had a large audience watching them. Also there was a little VIP balcony. It was like the most crowded I've seen it all day. But like I said, I think it's their home country. It's maybe their home festival. Then I went to see Hellbutcher for a tiny little bit. Some sort of Swedish, I think. Swedish, but not totally fully Swedish. But I think they're singers from Sweden. I think he was from Nephilim.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there are some guitarists from one of those old black metal bands. And they were, as expected, with all the pins on their arms, like too many pins and too many black leather and too
many.
True black metal. Yeah, well, true black metal, but it was too, maybe a little popish for black metal in my experience.
Popish and black metal. Okay.
But, yeah, not popish, but a little...
Melodic? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what I mean with popish. But it wasn't like...
No. Okay.
Well, the old school black metal. They had a little something over there. I don't know how to explain it. I call it popish, but... which made it really... And they were fun to watch. But I had to run off to Baroness. They were closing off the second stage with a absolute smashing performance. They are a little bit more stoner, like metal in the 70s vibe, rock and roll.
Yeah, okay. I was never really the biggest fan of Baroness at all. I mean, for me it was always, okay, it's there, that's fine. But then I was like, was it this week? I came across a video, I think last week or so, that I quickly checked a couple minutes from, and I was like, oh, okay. I gotta, if they're around, I might put them on my list again to check. That sounds interesting. So, cool.
Yeah, they were really good. And I think they had some changes in the lineup over the last year, so maybe that's also, they kind of bring maybe something new to the table. Those new members then, because I think the singer is still the same. But yeah, it's in a Dutch way, it stond als een huis. I don't know how to say that in English.
I think it stands like a rock is the English expression for it.
Yeah, it stands like a rock. Yeah, definitely. And then the last band, Frank Carter and Rattlesnakes. Yes, I wanted to see this. I had never ever seen Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, and it was also the last time it was possible. So, their show, it was something else. Frank Carter just jumps in. I think at the second song he jumps in the audience. he kind of sort of turns into a Where's Waldo experience. He got lost in the audience, and then suddenly there's like around a circle pit arising, and then he's standing in the middle, and he stays there for I don't know how many songs. He seems to very much enjoy it. He's really arousing the audience around him to jump, to circle pit, to entertain ourselves, and he's just standing there, I think, enjoying himself while the band's still playing on stage, and they're not standing still like, okay, nobody is watching us. They're still as well flying over the stage, having a good time. So you actually have ears and eyes to court. Not enough eyes to watch the show. It was, and then they got back on the stage and do this whole show. I think people are really sad that they're quitting, but sometimes it's time for something new.
I think Frank Carter is having a couple of these bands around, but I mean,
I heard he's going to sing with the Sex Pistols or something.
True. I think that they were announced like that for Yera on Air or something. I saw it coming by this week in the email. That's interesting enough. I remember seeing Frank Carter the first time, and I was a bit like, okay, this is so annoying. I cannot take pictures if you're in the crowd, But then you get infected with the energy, and then it's like, okay, yeah. Getting it. That's cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew he was going into the crowd, but I didn't know he was going to stay there for like, I don't know, 6 songs.
I think I warned you.
I don't know, 4 or 5,
I think I warned you.
Yeah, I knew he was going into the crowd and standing there, but I didn't know. I thought it was for 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah.
And we only had 2 songs to photograph, so I photographed the band, and then because I couldn't, from the barriers, I couldn't see him anymore. So I decided to photograph the band and then go onto the balcony and photograph from there. So I have a very nice Where's Waldo picture. You can spot him somewhere. And then I was like, fuck, he's still standing there. He's not looking like he's going to go back to the stage anytime soon. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going in. And I walked down and I went to he was, in the middle of the audience, and I was with my camera in my hands, and I was like, yeah, boof, boof, circle pit, from left to right, and I cut in, and I took a few photos right on time before he left back to the stage. So I got the full experience from all angles. So definitely memorable. I also love this performance. It's so crazy he can still sing so well, standing there in the audience. He was fiddling with his in-ears, but it sounds so freakingly good. So yeah, I enjoyed this whole festival.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's that.
No, that.
I'm curious for next year. They announced Turbo Negro.
Interesting.
It's not my thing, I think.
No, well.
There's going to be lots more bands.
Yeah, true. And you always wait for whatever is coming up. So, guess we'll see.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then, I guess up next we were going to talk a little bit about this album that we're discussing. Denigrate, the Finnish melodic doom band that's released was in an album. I think soonish, or can't even remember what day exactly they were going to release it. And I think I picked to talk a bit about them because when I quickly listened to it at first, I thought, okay, so this sounds a little bit like Insomnium. They were even marketed it like that, like the names, The Swallow the Sun, the Insomnium, the Omnium Gatherum, kind of.
Just Finnish.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, let's have a look about this release. It's called To the Goddess Unknown. and I think it's out in the 29th, so when people are listening to this, they possibly have to wait 1 or 2 more days to see it. But yeah, a finished release, so to say. What did you think of it?
If you say all those bands that they should sound like, I can get it, but I think to me it's not in the same level yet. Sound and music wise it definitely is, but for me the singer sometimes sound like he's trying a little bit too hard, and his vocals are not. It's not in everything. It's more in the growls. I think it lacks a little bit depth or grit. I don't know, but maybe people like it. It's not what I like. But music sounds. The soundscapes are definitely. I can get the links there. They have the doomish melodic approach. They have nice changes in the music. It flows very nice. But I didn't fall in love with the first or second listen.
Okay. Yeah, for me.
So what did you think?
I thought it was interesting. I found out that they were having some lineup changes recently, or like before they released probably. And so they're kind of a new band, so maybe they still have to like get things together a little bit. But I think I hear the potential in them, you know? I like how they have the melodics organized. The way they are thinking about making their songs is interesting enough. It's very often not too long, but also not too short. Very good. I also think that they kind of keep my interest at all. I mean, does it stand out yet, like from all these other bands that are around? Not yet, but I think that they will be able to get there if they put some energy into it and get some experience with the current lineup. Do some more years in that, maybe some more live shows, who knows. So yeah, I think for people who really like this kind of music, it's interesting to check them out, to keep an eye on them, so to say. Yeah.
Agree with that part.
Yeah. And I didn't really have one favorite track from the track list, but maybe honorable mention maybe then for Sesame and Lilies. I found that an interesting one for some reason. Can't really put the finger on it to what brings it like there, but yeah. That's all right. I think what do we have next? Yeah.
Do we have something new? Do we have news in the
Yes,
music world?
yes. I found something that pissed me off, so that's always good for me. Like to put it into a podcast. To people seem to really like me ranting a little bit, so okay, I can bring that in. But it concerns the band, a metalcore band called Annalyn. And they're from Thailand. And their vocalist, apparently, he had put up that he had some cancer. And they were like going to need money for medical bills. And they start doing a fundraiser and whatever. Because it wasn't possible to do that in their country or something. Like, I don't know how that works, but they can't get insurance for some reason. Yeah, and then at some point it turned out that he did not have cancer. Yeah, he did not have cancer. And he actually posted the story later himself, apparently, that he is having personal financial struggles, including debts from illegal loans and poor business decisions. So that was where it came from. I'm like, oh, this is why people don't like crowdfundings, you know?
No.
Oh my gosh.
But using that, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a band that I listen, but I would, you know.
No.
this is definitely a no. I mean, cancer is a disease that's affected so many people. So many people die because of this horrible disease. You're not gonna muck with that, you know?
Yeah. I think it's...
No. Fuck.
Ugh. It makes me sick when I was reading it, and I was like, it's not necessarily a music thing, but they involved their fans with it. So I think then it makes only sense that we mention that this is long. Also a bit of a note to people to think twice when donating to people, because sometimes I feel that you don't always know what's really going on there. I remember one certain Finnish band that recently released that album that people have been waiting for 30 years or something, that was collecting money for their album and proceeded to do also something with a sauna and sorry, Winterborn. So that was the news. I thought it's disgusting.
Yes.
So I did want to spend some time mentioning that. And otherwise, my busy week did not include me having much time to catch up on things. Other than my struggles with people trying to answer emails and such. So.
Well, read emails correctly and then answer back. That's sometimes
that
really
would be nice if people would do that, and especially if you're writing to magazines asking like, please can you promote us, and then if we say sure, let's set something up, and then you don't respond, like, you wanted this, right? So to any of our listeners who was planning to submit something, if we reply, please bother to follow up. Otherwise, don't send me anything at all. Because sometimes you need to just answer your emails. Okay. Yeah, that was that. On to something more fun. Because I understood we're back with All About the Bass.
Well, at least now.
Okay, for this episode at least.
At least this episode. Well, I have my eye on various bass players, but first there was festival season. Now we're back into the club season, and people are busy as well. But I found someone. It's a Dutch bass player. We saw them a couple of times. Festival and club season. I think you saw them before me. I found Patrick Monsma from Ter Ziele ready to answer some questions about the bass and his story with the bass. So, I'm curious
to hear that. I mean, I've seen them around quite a couple of times. I think they're from... I've been playing in Arnhem quite a couple times, where I saw them somewhere in a small bar somewhere in Eibergen, maybe, if I remember correctly, and I don't know, just everywhere around. But I'm curious to hear what his story is.
So I asked him, can you give us a short introduction into who you are and where you picked up a bass guitar? So he's replying saying, hey, I'm Patrick Monsma. People might know me as the bass player for Ter Ziele. I switched to bass guitar 10 years ago, somewhere around 2013. I was playing guitar and starting a dead thrash band, but due to the bass player leaving, he then made the choice to switch to bass guitar, filling the empty spot, because in that way they had one guitarist and a bass player, and which made it possible to still have a band. And he said, I haven't looked back since. Now, isn't this something we heard a lot?
Yeah, the story sounds recognizable.
I think it's kind of funny. People, they start out with a guitar, and then there's no bass player, and then I remember
and then
they sort of fall in love.
Yeah, I remember that I was sending you a message that I came across in one group on Facebook of a band that had three guitarists, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have a bassist. What do we do? Are we finding a bassist, or do we just assign one of the guitarists to learn bass?" Like, okay, yeah.
But listening to Ter Ziele, I think I have never heard him play guitar, but I kind of very much like his bass sounds. So maybe he made a right decision. So my next question was a throwback to when you start learning to play the bass. Would you like to share a moment that you remember practicing in the beginning and you were proud of finally mastering it, or share a little something about those early days holding a bass guitar? And he says, well, for me it was an eye-opening moment of realization of what you can do on bass that which stays out of reach on a guitar. Being able to stick to the root notes or just do something completely different if the song calls for that. And Black Sabbath was always been a major influence in my songwriting since I started playing guitar, but when I switched to the bass, I started listening to music very differently, and Geezer became, and still is, a huge inspiration. So that's why Wicked World of Black Sabbath was one of the first songs I learned on bass.
Amazing. That's a song that I can really understand that people get inspired by, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's also kind of funny that a lot of people I find ready to answer my questions, they all like Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I think it's not the first time we have Black Sabbath coming by.
No.
Yeah.
We will...
Yeah, Black Sabbath has become the basic for many, I think, so.
I think so, yeah. So if it's not already in there, we will put Wicked World into the bass player playlist.
Yeah.
Which lacks a little bit of upgrade, but we will edit. So I asked him, what is a riff or intro or outro bass line from another artist that you at the moment really admire, and can you share with us why that you think people should check out? And he's saying, I still find myself going back to older records somehow. Herbie Hancock's Man-Child is one that comes to mind, which I listened to lately. But if you want some real bass delight, it's the band Lemmy played bass in before he started Motorhead, which is called Hawkwind. They released a live record in the 1973 called Space Ritual, and the bass lines in Lord of Light always inspires and amazes me.
Okay, yeah, those are some interesting choices.
Yes. I have never heard of that. I think I've heard of Hawkwind, but I don't think I've
I heard of them.
Any of it.
I might actually have reviewed it at some point. Not sure, but yeah. That's something we can always check later.
Yes, definitely. That's why we do these, to inspire other people to listen to bass-infused music. So I asked, is there a recent concert or live performance you went to where you were so mesmerized by the bass? And what band was it? And can you tell a little bit about it? And is it also something you hope other people can or will or might experience at one of your own shows? So he says, I can name two, which are also two very different experiences, but blend perfectly together in how I write and approach bass lines for Ter Ziele. The first one is when I saw Primitive Man for the first time at Roadburn 2 years ago. And if you witness them live, it's like standing in front of the gates of hell, which are opening very slowly, making a deafening noise. It's so loud and overwhelming, you feel yourself being absorbed by a black, bleak mass.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I think you can hear that in Ter Ziele, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one is Acid King with their new lineup. Seeing the older material getting revived and played with so much passion is absolutely bliss. The bass has always been a big part of the band, it being a 3-piece. Their latest record got tons of nice build-ups, which I really enjoyed seeing live. And the current bass player Bryce also toured with Hawkwind before or between 2013 and 14. Means he has the groove.
He saw it very close by, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Ja.
Die moet er even uit. What is one of your favorite pieces and parts you wrote yourself and are you damn proud of? So, you know, that makes us curious to go listen to it. And can you share a little bit about it, how it came together? And he's saying, I'm mega proud on a lot of parts which are on the upcoming debut album of Ter Ziele. And I can't spoil too much, but in one song there is a break between just bass and guitar. And there's a bass melody which unfolds in the bridge, which really has an impressive chord progression. And all I can say, keep an eye out for the record.
Now that's good promotion for his new album.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think it's always funny when you, and that's why I came up with these questions, not to only ask about the bass player's band and how they started, True. But also something of their inspiration, because I find it curious when you can hear bits of that in their own writing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it get lost because maybe bass players like a certain type of music, but then the band is playing a tiny little bit different music and you don't hear it. But sometimes you can still think, oh yeah, I get it. And so yeah, I'm very curious about their upcoming debut album. And it's going to be fun if we can hear a little bit of those Black Sabbath and Hawkwind
influences,
if we can hear something like that. Or the opening of the gates of hell on their album. So, and I asked if he has any tips for bass playing listeners out there, and he says, listen to more fusion and jazz.
Okay, that's an interesting one, yeah. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I personally am not the biggest fan of that fusion stuff when you compare it to the jazz. No. I get some of it sometimes in my inbox, and some people think of sending it to me on records even. But it's not my most favorite thing to pick up. But I think he is right that is very good if you want to study it a bit more.
Expand,
well. That's definitely good. Yeah. So yeah.
I think there's also a lot of bass players that listen to a little bit more jazzy influenced.
Yeah, definitely.
Bass lines, maybe because of the plucking and the grooving.
Yeah, and I also think that's typically genre which gives space to bassists to play around and get their spotlight a bit. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Patrick, for your answering these questions. I hope our listeners got a little bit of interested in Ter Ziele and in the songs you mentioned. So yeah. And if you were listening, if you like this, please make a comment and let us know.
Yeah, do that. I think so. Also, if you have listened to our podcast a little bit longer, you probably heard us talk a little bit about this band before. And I think they will probably pass by when that debut album comes out. So
I think so too.
Yeah, you better figure out what we're talking about. Okay, well, yeah, these were really nice answers. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Then we go to the Ikigai. What makes us happy this week? Well, I think I can start with that. I'm happy with having amazing conversations with the bands that participated in this Christmas series. I aim at doing 24 or 25 interviews. It's a bit slow because people don't answer their emails, in case you don't follow my rant from before. But I had a couple of really nice conversations already, and I think people really enjoy watching those. It's interesting if you have a concept, so you kind of have these interviews going in the same direction a little bit. Not that you ask everything exactly the same, but like it has the same structure because it's a concept and these need to stick together. And you ask that one to maybe a guy that does a little bit more like progressive rock, then you go to black metal, symphonic black metal, and then you go maybe to industrial or like more pop. It's so like different genres, and you can hear people looking at things one way and some another way, and in the end they all come to one thing, and that's amazing songs and amazing opportunities for people to find out about them. So it's so interesting that you can have these good conversations like that.
Yes, I find these interviews quite interesting. To me, it's always fun to hear about the background and how they experience music or get influenced. So
true.
yeah, that's also why I like to ask these bass questions, because to get that little peek behind the band. And I think it's really fun to see you talk with these bands and see how do you say that? I'm lost for the word. How enthusiastic they are with their own work. They get so inspired with their... No, not inspired. They get so proud and enthusiastic. I love to see you getting that out of these bands. So... people, definitely check out these December
interviews.
Videos.
Yes, I have some nice names coming up, and I think people will enjoy it. We still have a couple of spots left. So yeah, if people have one certain band that has a release out in, let's say, November, December, maybe January, and they think that I need to talk to them about that, then leave it in the comments. Or just, if you are a band, you can also just write me an email at info@tempelores.com if you want to be in. Totally possible. And we can fill up the last spots in the upcoming weeks. So
exciting times ahead.
Before you know, it's Christmas, and then it's all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy days. I mean, I enjoy that.
Happy days.
So, what made you happy? You have been having a great festival.
Yeah, the festival made me happy. Yeah. Yeah, I just enjoyed myself at the festival, I really enjoyed Dole. Enjoyed Graveyard, and I enjoyed Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. It was just fun to be there. That made me really happy. I'm still happy.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Well.
Oh, and receiving the answers from our bass player.
Yeah, that's also cool.
Too. It's always fun when they say, "Yeah, I submitted it," and then I'm like, "Okay." And I was actually watching a movie when it got into my inbox. It's there, and I say, "Okay, I will check after my movie." But like 5 minutes passed, and I was like, "Nope,
let's go."
Can't wait. Just go read it. So yeah, it's easy how fast you can be happy with things.
Yeah, but I think it's important to cherish that thing, It's important that little things can people make you happy, make yourself feel happy, and
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be big. Something small can be nice too, and it's good to think back on those, I think. Yeah. All right, the playlist. I mean, I cannot really share too much about my playlist without revealing my my interviews,
of your interviews,
which are supposed to be a surprise. I'm not even telling Elvira which bands I'm interviewing. So
nope. Last year I really tried. I tried and tried, but no, her lips are sealed.
I'm just too good at keeping secrets.
You might shared one or two at the most.
Last year.
But only last year. And only dropping the name and then still say nothing at all. So I, just like everybody else, I have to sit and wait for them to be online. And then sometimes in the morning you say, you should check today. Okay. mean girl.
That's not mean. I like giving people surprises.
I know.
I think last year the ones I told you about is bands that you know the people from, so we could like talk a little bit about that, and then I have inspiration for questions and such. So yeah. So I do it that way, and yeah.
Yeah, actually, there was one that had my questions. I submitted my questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, and this year probably not gonna tell any of them. Well, one you might guess. I gave a hint on one of them, but I don't know.
I didn't think I was awake enough to get the hint.
No, but yeah. Well, then you just have to wait.
Yeah. But I've been listening because, we're talking about the end of the year. And your Advent interviews, but besides that, there's also gonna be the 5 albums and the 5 shows we enjoyed the most.
True.
And of course, there have been a few releases right now, and I've been listening to Solstafir.
Ah, yes.
The new band. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. Hin Helga Kvol, or something like that. And I love the album. I had to miss them. They were playing 3 shows in the Netherlands. They're touring right now in Europe. I had to miss it because I had to make decisions. And I'm pretty sure they will be coming back next year. And Frank Carter isn't coming back. So, decision made. But their album, I think it came out last week. I love it. And it's kind of funny, not so surprised I'm going to say this, but the bass lines are really, really nice. And there's one of the songs, the third song, it's called Blakraki or something, and he sings in Icelandic, so I have no clue what it means, or how to pronounce most of the things. But this word comes. He repeats the word a couple of times, so it really sticks to your mind. So blakakraki or blakraki, it's kind of funny. So I have to say that one, and one of our contributors to Tempelores and crew member of a long time. She reviewed Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah.
It is on our Tempelores website, so go read it. Makes me curious because I like Alice in Change a lot. And she referred back to one of those albums, one of those songs, really getting the grungy vibe there. So it made me very, very curious, and I checked it out. And I definitely recommend to read the review and then listen to it. It's good. And then there's also been Ioton, or how you pronounce it. They also released their album last week, I think. And I gave it a quick spin, but I still need to go listen it better. And Oranzi Pisasu, they're actually touring together, the 3 of them, so it's kind of funny. They all had, their album is coming in nearish. I think. Yeah,
I think I saw that, like February maybe.
Yeah, I think.
I remember.
So yeah, that's been on my. Well, of course, I've also been listening to Graveyard and Frank Carter and Dole. I mean, when I like to edit, sometimes I like to put on the music I'm editing.
Yeah, that's always a good time to put something on, indeed.
Oh, and I've been listening, of course, to Soilwork, In Flames. Insomnium. Well, the regular stuff.
Yeah, the regular stuff. So it's the kind of music you always fall back to. So in some point it comes by again. Yeah.
Well, I recently started listening to these this music app most people have, and they're gonna have those end of the years list that everyone is going to share, but they also have these I think, what is it called, a day list or a week list, and they have like they make a sort of playlist from all the music you've been listening. So when I'm in my car, I like to get like totally different bands playing. So I like to put those playlists, and they just flip through all kinds of music which I like.
Yeah, I think maybe I found one that I could share that I not going to interview because they released a single, and it's not like completely known when their full album is going to be here. So not yet. Maybe after the New Year's. I mean, I do also do interviews when it's not Christmas, so I can always pick them up after that. So Arion. Like the Finnish one. Not Arion from Arjen Lucassen. No, the Finnish Arion. Arion.
Arion. We've seen him this year.
Yeah, we did. That's why I was like, okay, that might be interesting to tell people. And that's also why I checked out the single. The single is called From an Empire to a Fall. And I thought, okay, that sounds typically like them. So, typical catchy riffs.
Catchy, easygoing.
Yeah. So, typical them, I guess.
Nice.
So, something to keep an eye on. I hope that it won't take too long for their album anymore, because, they're interesting.
Yes.
So, yay, I had at least something to show or talk about when it goes to my playlist. Also, this last week was simply work, and not much play. So
that's also a song, right? But it's from
Rihanna.
Rihanna? Yeah, work. Sorry, that's how my mind works. I'm really sorry.
I think a lot of music people have that. So that's that. Nothing more to me for this episode.
Well, thank you, because now it's stuck in my head.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll find something else to put in your head.
Okay. So yes, I think we're getting towards the end of this episode. Or do you have something...
No.
Share too.
We're almost at an hour, so I guess it's okay for people to wait for next episode after this talk.
Yeah.
So I think all I want to do is ask people to listen and leave us a comment. Like, sure, share around which band you want to interview. Tell Elvira what you think of the bass, and anything what you want to get off your chest, you can dump into either our inbox or our YouTube channel or anywhere else social media wise.
Yes. Also, the photo review of Helldorado will be online.
Today.
So if you like to see what I've been talking about in pictures, you can check it out.
Yeah. And then what's next? Well, I think I have some shows in future. Not sure if I have it for the next episode, but probably before the end of the year I will see maybe a little small festival. We'll see.
I think I only have one in the next 2 weeks. Or maybe, I think. Yeah.
All right then. So, and after that it becomes already soon towards the end of the year list and beginning of new year lists. So that's that. Time to say goodbye. Bye.
Goodbye.